Well, don't look now, but the Chicago Cubs just got another home sweep. Guys, they are on a win streak like no other at home right now, and they are setting themselves up to be on pace to win a lot of ball games. We're going to deep dive today's episode how the Chicago Cubs are setting themselves up for a very successful season, not just in the outfield, not just with defense, not just with pitching, but this year they're doing it with the offense, and it's not coming in the way right now that you think it should. But hey, listen, we got to cover all of that. Plus, we got to get you ready for a huge series going up against the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to cover it all right after this. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Listen, I appreciate each and every last one of you that have tuned in to these episodes. Do me a favor. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on X, make sure that you guys leave a comment and give it a heart. If you're watching on Apple or on Spotify, please make sure that you guys leave a like and a 5-star review. It definitely helps, guys, to get the channel out there to more and more people. Now, with that being said, guys, we got to go ahead and fly that W 3 times, y'all, because why? I haven't recorded an episode since Thursday, and I appreciate each and every last one of you guys that tuned into that one. But the Chicago Cubs did go ahead this weekend and sweep the Arizona Diamondbacks, guys. Now, listen, I thought that the Chicago Cubs would take 2 out of 3. I did not foresee the sweep coming, but I'm not mad about it, right? We are enjoying some really good Cubs baseball right now, guys. The Chicago Cubs sit atop of the NL Central, which is by far right now the most competitive division in all of baseball, not just of the National League, in all of baseball. Everybody is above 500. Not everybody is at or above 500. Everybody is above 500. And the Chicago Cubs right now are trying to set themselves up for success and set themselves apart from everybody else. How are they doing this? We're going to talk about that. We're going to cover that. But first and foremost, let's get down to business talking about the Chicago Cubs. Well, Friday's game came out, and it was one for the ages. Michael Busch has been getting himself back together, figuring things out. The Chicago Cubs chased Zach Gallen out of the game fairly early into this one, and then it looked like the Chicago Cubs were going to cough up a lead and lose this game when they gave up between the third and sixth inning. They gave up 4 runs, basically putting themselves 1 run above the Arizona Diamondbacks. However, they were able to hold on through some clutch pitching, and from there they were able to hold on to that lead. Then you turn around Saturday, the Chicago Cubs win again, this time 8-4, beating those same Arizona Diamondbacks. Oh wait, no, I think that might be Sunday's game I'm looking at. Yeah, no. A Saturday's game, the Chicago Cubs won 0-2 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. This one, like I said, was another masterclass from Shota Imanaga, who has certainly found his way as of late. Shota Imanaga is doing things out here on the field that really make you think, from the mound, that he has found something or figured something out as far as how to be successful pitching wise. And I'm excited because this is what we needed. We as a whole, as a lot of us, wanted to get rid of Shota Imanaga. We were actually quite upset that he signed another deal with the Chicago Cubs. A lot of people were. However, Shota Imanaga so far has shown himself to be worthy of another contract. I'll tell you somebody else that's shown himself worthy to be worthy of another contract. I tweeted this one out. Ian Happ is probably going to get another contract from the Chicago Cubs, y'all. Ain't gonna lie to you. Saturday's game was all Ian Happ. Ian Happ hit the only home run that the Chicago Cubs had in that Saturday game. He also scored the, the second run, the insurance run for the Chicago Cubs in that game by hitting a triple. So, again, Ian Happ doing it all in that one. And then, of course, Sunday, the Chicago Cubs finished things off against the same Arizona Diamondbacks. How did they do it? Well, they did it with the scoring runs, manufacturing runs. They also did it with the home run ball as Moises Ballesteros got back down to business, hitting a 2-run shot over into the left field bleachers. Beautiful to see. And then, of course, somebody that I've talked about as someone that's been hurting the Chicago Cubs actually came through and helped the Chicago Cubs. That's right, our first baseman, Michael Busch, the man that hit the most home runs on the Chicago Cubs club last year. Looks like he's finally starting to get himself back into form. He hit a bases clearing triple in this game to bust this game wide open for the Chicago Cubs as they do complete the sweep on Sunday. So again, the Chicago Cubs took care of business, beating a team that was kind of floundering a little bit. I mean, okay, let's be honest. Arizona came into this series with a winning record, but the Chicago Cubs send them back home with a losing record. They are now 16-17 on the season. And guys, listen, one thing we talked about, and I think we've all mentioned this, and I think every Cubs podcaster or broadcaster has talked about this. The Chicago Cubs don't have the same pop as they did a year ago. But yet, at this rate, they have either the same or a better record than what they had last year. How are they doing it? Well, it's a few ways. One, you have seen there's whoever has been in the starting lineup or starting rotation pitching wise has come through for the Chicago Cubs on most days. Now, again, everybody has a stinker out there. Shota's had a stinker. Matthew Boyd has had a stinker. Colin Ray's had a stinker. But they've also come back and continued this trend of, okay, we had a stinker in this game, but let's get back to business in the next game. And in their next start, they've come out and looked downright dominant. So again, from that standpoint, you look at the Chicago Cubs and you say to yourself, when you have good pitching like that, Matthew Boyd in his last start looked amazing. Shota Imanaga in his last start looked amazing for the Chicago Cubs. These are guys that struggled mightily in the start before that. When you mix good pitching, quality pitching, along with great defense, it just makes it easier to win games. But to be honest with you, the Chicago Cubs just aren't getting it done on the defensive end. And that's our main topic that we want to talk about today. There has been a shift in the Chicago Cubs thought process at home plate. When the Chicago Cubs come up to bat, they are doing things different than I've seen the Chicago Cubs do in a long time. So again, you understand that Wrigley Field is windy. Sometimes the wind blows in and will cheat you. Sometimes the wind blows out and it will help you. It's just all about how the wind is blowing at Wrigley. It plays as two separate different ballparks. There, it can be a hitter-friendly park, and it could also be a pitcher-friendly park. It just depends on the day. However, the Chicago Cubs have figured out in order to really be successful this season, they have to be downright dominant at home. And this is something that they have done so far this season. So let's start with the big picture. The Chicago Cubs offense is trending upward right now. And it's not just a feel thing. The numbers actually do back this up. So far this season, the Chicago Cubs have improved in these key offensive categories. Their on-base percentage, noticeably higher than last year. Their walk rate, with one of the biggest jumps on the team. The pitches per plate appearance, they are grinding out at bats. And then the strike rate, it's slightly down, showing better discipline at the plate. Guys, this team is no longer just relying on power, but they're manufacturing offense. And this is something that we've talked about. I wanted to see it last year, especially when the Chicago Cubs lost Kyle Tucker due to injury, when you had Ian Happ go out with a stint of injury, when you had, a lot of the guys that had pop go out with injury. The Chicago Cubs needed to figure out a way still how to win games. And they're doing that this year. What are we seeing? We're seeing 6 to 8 pitch at bats. What does that do? That does two things. It gives you a lot of looks at the starting pitcher. B, it wastes a lot of the starting pitcher's pitches. So their pitch count goes up very, very quickly. The opposing starters get pulled early, and then there's more traffic around the base because the Chicago Cubs are accepting their walks. These are key indicators on how we are going to be successful long term. Because let's just face facts. The power might not come this year. But the Chicago Cubs don't need to worry about the power if they are getting quality ABs. Now, again, to start the season, you had guys hitting into just some bad luck, and you didn't have Seiya Suzuki. But now things are starting to trend in a different direction. Although he had an abysmal series against the Diamondbacks, Alex Bregman is trending in the right direction. We like what we're seeing from Dansby Swanson. I'm going to highlight him in the next segment. But then you also like to see Michael Busch getting back to himself, as well as Moises Ballesteros also being able to get back to what he was supposed to be. When you load the bags and there's more traffic and there's 6 to 8 pitches per AB, all this leads to one thing: pressure baseball. So again, this all comes from the new hitting philosophy and what I believe is Dustin Kelly and the Chicago Cubs change with their approach at the plate. The Cubs hitting staff has clearly implemented this new philosophy. It's control the zone, don't chase, and force pitchers to beat you. So this is less about swinging early and more about hunting your pitch, letting borderline pitches go, and extending at bats. It gives you more looks at the ball. It gives you more of an opportunity to get the big hit and to get the pitch that you want. Nobody on the Chicago Cubs has done this more this season than Dansby Swanson. Dansby Swanson this season has taken a notable leap this year at his plate discipline. Career high pace in walks, fewer chasing swings, more hitters counts. Instead of trying to do damage with every swing or pull the ball, he's taking what pitchers give him, he's getting on base, and he's letting the lineup work behind him. So this gives him more of a chance to be an RBI threat. This is a huge shift from earlier in his career where he was more aggressive earlier in counts. And guys, he's not alone. Other Cubs hitters are showing as well. There's improved zone recognition. There's better two-strike approaches and a willingness to take the walk instead of forcing contact. When you force contact, that's a lot of times where you hit into double plays, you get ground outs, or you get pop-ups. You don't want to force the contact. You want to be able to wait for your pitch and then drive the ball. If we understand that home runs are going to be few and far in between this season, this is how the Chicago Cubs are going to have to play. And this is how you're going to win. And to be quite honest with you, as much as I'm not an analytics guy, I'm an eye test guy, not an analytics guy, I have to give Craig Counsell, Dustin Kelly props because they were the ones that came up with this. They picked players specifically that they knew would be able to implement this style of play. And credit to the guys for buying in. I still don't think we've seen the best of Alex Bregman. I still feel like we haven't seen the best of Michael Busch. But yet the Chicago Cubs are still winning. And we know we haven't seen the best of PCA yet. Just wait till it gets hot and the ball starts jumping off his bat. I still believe that better baseball is on the way for the Chicago Cubs. But make no mistake about it, y'all. This is modern baseball done right. This is the not your swing and miss approach and just keep going up to the plate hacking. This is discipline. This is a winning style of baseball, and it's showing. So, like I said, we want to highlight the guys offensively who are driving the offense, and like I said, it's a few contributors in this. It's the top of the order hitters are getting on base consistently. Thank you, Nico Horner. Thank you, to Alex Bregman. Middle of the lineup at bats, capitalizing with runners on scoring position. That's Miguel Amaya. That is Carson Kelly. That's Ian Happ. That is PCA, and that's Seiya Suzuki. And then increased situational hitting. Guys are hitting sac flies and getting productive outs. That's your Matt Shaws. Those are your Seiya Suzuki's. Those are, the guys hitting in the back like Dansby Swanson and guys like that. This offense is becoming balanced. It's not top heavy. It's not just home run or die. It's we can beat you multiple ways. If our pitchers are giving up enough runs, we're never out the game because we can produce runs. We don't have to worry about if the fact that we're not getting the home run ball that day. If the wind's blowing in, we can still blow teams out by playing this type of way. So again, this is winning baseball. And I'm so excited that the players have bought in to this style of play. And I think that in the long run, it's going to help us. I think we're going to see ourselves be a lot more successful moving forward with playing this style. Now we're going to need to play this style and move forward to be really successful in the next upcoming series, because the next upcoming series that we have, guys, is against the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals are right now 2 games behind the Chicago Cubs for the division. Again, it's early May. No need to be looking at the standings, but I'm just telling you guys, that's where everyone sits as of right now. The Chicago Cubs are looking to take advantage of this series against Cincinnati, but make no mistake about it, Cincinnati has one of the best managers to ever manage in Terry Francona. He is somebody that knows the Chicago Cubs very well. He was the Cleveland Indians manager when the Chicago Cubs beat them in the World Series in 2016. He knows the Chicago Cubs club. He knows he's familiar with Craig Counsell. And again, he is somebody that we know knows how to manage. He knows how to manipulate the his bullpen. He knows how to, use his strengths to his advantage. And again, who's hot right now for Cincinnati? Who's hot right now for Cincinnati? Ellie freaking De La Cruz. That boy is putting together a season. 10 home runs, 271 batting average, 25 RBIs. He has a 349 OBP and a 541 slug as of right now. He is looking to lead this Cincinnati Reds team. Cincinnati comes into this series 20-14. Meanwhile, like I said, our Chicago Cubs are 22-12. Now, on Monday, the Chicago Cubs send to the mound Edward Cabrera. Edward Cabrera is 3-0 with a 3.06 ERA. We already know what we're getting when we send Edward Cabrera to the mound. We're getting somebody that is going to induce a lot of strikeouts. We're looking at somebody that is going to try to overpower you with his fastball and be successful like that and get a lot of swing and miss. Now, the good thing about this is that the Cincinnati Reds offense is known to go up and hack at the ball. So again, the Chicago Cubs pitchers need to use this to their advantage and induce some swing and miss. For the Cincinnati Reds, they are calling up their number 7 prospect, Chase Petty, to make the start on Monday. They will hand him the ball, and he will go up against Edward Cabrera and the Chicago Cubs. That's the 6:40 start time on Monday. Then after that, we move right along to the next game. The next game we will see Jameson Taillon, and he will go up against Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott is 1-2 with a 597 earned run average. Meanwhile, Jameson Taillon is 2-1 with a 4.41 earned run average. Andrew Abbott a year ago gave the Chicago Cubs all types of problems. Like I said, I remember it was a series late last year. The Cubs were going up against the Reds in Cincinnati, and we had to face literally their best pitchers. It was a 4-game series too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate this so much. It was such a hard series to watch. We had to face Hunter Green, we had to face Andrew Abbott, we had to face all the best Reds pitchers. And like I said, it's just like me and Sam said when we were talking on the episode a few weeks ago when he came on. I hate when the Chicago Cubs play the Cincinnati Reds because it feels like the Cubs never win. The Cubs never beat the Reds. No matter how good they are, it seems like the Reds always have their number. But hopefully in this series, the Chicago Cubs can change the tune to that. On Wednesday, another 6:40 start time, Colin Ray will go for the Chicago Cubs. Colin Ray boasts a 4-1 record, a 4.41 ERA. He has 30 strikeouts and a 1.32 RIP. And then, of course, Brady Singer is going for the Cincinnati Reds. He's 2-2 with a 5.57 ERA. And then last but not least, on a getaway day, the Chicago Cubs will go up against the Cincinnati Reds to close out this series, and there will be none other than Shota Imanaga with a 3-2 record, a 2.40 ERA, 43 strikeouts, and a 0.85 whip, going up against none other than Rhett Lauder, who will go for Cincinnati on Thursday's game. That's a 1:20 start time. 3-2, 5.09 ERA, 26 strikeouts for louder. These guys will go up against each other, and then after that, the Chicago Cubs will take off and head to Texas, where they will play the Rangers for a weekend set. Listen, the Cincinnati Reds set, I don't want to overhype it and make it sound like it's do or die, because it's not. But it'd be nice to take 3 of these games at home. It would be nice. Now, again, no win streak in any organized sport is safe. But it'd be nice to see the Chicago Cubs take 3 of these games against Cincinnati. At the least, split 2. But we'll see what happens, man. The Chicago Cubs right now are on a heater, and they're figuring out different ways to win. Again, this offensive philosophy change is really, really helping this club. So we'll see what happens. But, hey, man, listen, that's my time for today. I appreciate each and every last one of you guys for tuning in and for watching. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss a single episode of Chicago Cubs Central. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. From everybody here at the Central family, make sure that you guys, like I said, like, share, and subscribe. And until tomorrow, go Cubs go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.